Welcome to Phundex, a centralized collaboration hub to manage processes and transactions across the investment lifecycle. Think of Phundex as a combination of Trello, a data room, and a document signing facility, all on one platform, permissioned just the way you want. This video introduces you to Phundex as a platform, what you can do on it, and general navigation. You might also want to see our videos on transaction and process management and individual ones on various functionalities of the platform. The first time you log on to the platform, you'll see our Welcome to Phundex introduction, pathway, and secure data rooms pop-ups. You also have the opportunity to take the tour, which explains the various information on the left-hand pathway. Anytime that you want to go back and see this introduction again, you can simply go to your profile and click on the Take the Tour button. Here you can also update your profile, changing information with respect to your name and changing the photograph that you have on the platform. You are also able to change your password here. Remember, we have some minimum requirements for your password. And finally, you can also add two-factor authentication if you wish it or if your organization requires it. At your home page, you will see a dashboard that tells you any overdue tasks that are awaiting to be completed and tasks that have been assigned but are not yet due or may not have a due date. In the right-hand column, you'll also see the names of the 3 most recent pathways that you've worked on, and you can click on the buttons to go directly to those pathways. A pathway is the Phundex term for a transaction or process that you manage on the platform. If you move to the Pathways menu, you see the dashboard for the pathways that are part of your organization's processes and transactions. A pathway is described with the name that you've assigned it, a client name where it has been assigned to a particular client, the status, on track if all of the tasks are currently up to date, and overdue if it has overdue tasks, the manager or administrator who created the pathway, and the date that it was created. You can even make amendments to the name and details of the pathway by clicking on the Edit button and making any changes required here. Here we maybe want to add in the jurisdiction that the transaction is related to and provide an update. You're also able to sort and view the various pathways. By moving into the stages of the transaction, you can see the various tasks and stages that are available in the transaction. Within each stage, there are already tasks assigned, and these tasks may or may not be assigned to particular people. In the Pathways dashboard, you can see a number of lists of pathways that are available in your organization. You can either search through by going through each of the tabs, or if you know the name of the transaction, you may choose to type in the name and search for the transaction. If this doesn't find what you're looking for, if you decide you don't want to see that pathway, you can simply reset to see the list again. Today we're going to look at an October new equity raise. And when we move into the pathway, we can see it has a number of stages and that each of those stages have a series of tasks. Your dashboard shows you any tasks that have been assigned to you. And in the right-hand column, you can see not only the name of the pathway, but the jurisdiction that's been assigned to it, the current stage with any outstanding tasks, the client that it is for, and the manager who set it up. On the left-hand side, you'll be able to see the stages, information about the team, and the data room. If we look at the full list of stages, you can see that there are a reasonable number of stages here, some of which have a fair number of tasks and some of which do not. If you want to look at a particular task, then we click on that task. If you want to add a stage, you simply click on Create a New Stage, and here you may choose to select something from our drop-down menu, or you may add something new that isn't there already. In this case, we'll pick Legal and Regulatory, and we will add it. that immediately adds that level to that stage to your transaction. At any time that you want, you can change the order of the stages by simply moving them, or dragging them and dropping them into the position that you want them. You may also want to add a task. We've added this new stage, legal and regulatory, and we may want to create a new task. And again, you can choose from the selection of the drop-down menu, or you can type in your own. And today we're going to look up regulatory requirements. You may simply choose to give a title name and save, or you can put in a description. You can assign it to somebody else, and then you can move to the next stage of the task. When you're creating the task, you can decide if you want to have information attached to the task or if it's simply a task that requires somebody to do an activity. In this particular case, we need to do some regulatory research, and so we need to actually upload any information that relates to that. So we're going to ask for an attachment to be supplied, and we're going to save the task. The task hasn't been assigned to anybody yet, and we may choose to edit it. Perhaps we want to edit it and put a bit more information in the instructions. So here we're going to say, please do some research on the regulatory requirements and provide a brief summary document, attaching it to the transaction, to task. In this particular case, we're going to then click that attachment required, and the person who's assigned the task will know they need to do some research, and once they've completed the research, they need to attach the task to the button. You may also decide to create a task where you want to have a document from the data room attached. So in this particular case, maybe we'll ask for an NDA to be signed. And we are going to go to something in the data room, and we're going to select an item from the data room. And in particular, here, we don't actually have something in the data room that is an NDA. So instead, we're going to upload a document, and we'll move to our files. We'll upload the document, and then we'll give it a name. Saving that document, and then the person who's assigned the task will know that they need to complete that document in order to complete the task. Now, how do you assign a team member to a task? You actually need to have members in the team to whom you can assign those tasks. And by clicking on the team button, you can see here we have a number of team members in this pathway already. You can tell from the information for each individual which company they work for, so whether they're an internal or an external team member, whether they have the right to view only published documents or whether they can work on and complete tasks, and what their email address, so you can get hold of them quite conveniently. When you can see the number of people who are in your team, then you can assign those people to the tasks that you have in your pathways. In this particular case, we happen to be a network administrator, and in other words, that means we can manage the network that we have for the organization. So by clicking on the network module in the left-hand column, we pull up the dashboard for the network. The dashboard for the network shows us all of the people who are permitted to access our platform under our license agreement. Here we can see the first and last name of a particular member of the pathway, the company that they work for, whether they have an active or inactive status, and their email address, as well as the type of access they've been granted. Why do we want to have active versus inactive? We may have someone we want to join to work on a particular transaction for a period of time. Once that transaction is completed, you may no longer require them to be in the platform, and so that you want to free up the license for someone else. In that case, you simply edit the person's role, deactivate, and they are no longer using one of the subscription licenses on your subscription. That takes us to a question about the subscriptions. And by clicking on the platform setting module as administrator, you can see where your plan is. You can also manage the plan. So you get information about the account itself, when it is coming due, the address that it was billed to, and the payment method that you had. You also have the ability to request an invoice should you require it. We go back to the home menu, and that is it for our tour today. For more information on how to manage processes and transactions, please see our transaction documents. Thank you.